Consider this. The 100 most common words in English constitute approximately 50% of all written text. This isn't a quirk of English, it's a statistical pattern known as Zipf's law, observed across virtually all human languages, a discovery stemming from George Kingsley Zipf's 1949 work, Human Behavior and the Principle of Least Effort. This principle suggests an inherent drive towards efficiency in our communication. Today, we explore a startling hypothesis that this very principle of least effort, amplified by modern technology, is guiding all human languages towards a new yet ancient form of communication, one based on pictographic representation, exemplified by emoji. Are we witnessing a regression or an evolution towards a mathematically optimal state? We are not merely simplifying, we are optimizing. The question isn't if our languages are changing, but whether this transformation into a more visual, symbolic system is an inevitable outcome dictated by the fundamental mathematics of information itself. This journey will take us through information theory, the history of writing, and the surprising efficiency of pictures in our digital world. At the heart of this linguistic evolution lies information theory, pioneered by Shannon in 1948. Shannon introduced the concepts of entropy and redundancy. Entropy measures the unpredictability or information content of a message. Higher entropy means more information. Redundancy, conversely, refers to the predictable elements in a message, those parts that could be removed without losing the core meaning. Think of the U that almost always follows a Q. In English, it's largely redundant. Languages naturally balance entropy and redundancy. Too much entropy, and messages become incomprehensible. Too much redundancy, and they become inefficient. Zipf's law itself is a manifestation of this balance, where frequent words are short, efficient, and less frequent words can be longer, carrying more specific information. This balance isn't static, it shifts with the medium and the communicative needs of its users. The pressure for efficiency is a constant, driving languages to shed unnecessary complexity when the context allows or even demands it. This isn't degradation, it's adaptation. It's the linguistic equivalent of natural selection, favoring forms that transmit meaning with the least effort for the greatest clarity in a given environment. Let's quantify this drive towards efficiency. Consider the phrase, "I am laughing out loud." In standard English text, that's 23 characters. An admirable compression was achieved with the acronym LOL, reducing it to just 3 characters. But the emoji conveys a similar, if not richer, emotional nuance in a single character. This isn't just about saving keystrokes, it's about information density per symbol. One character, the emoji, transmits a complex emotional state, recognized almost universally, instantaneously. This simple comparison starkly illustrates the compression advantage pictographic symbols offer in rapid digital communication. The visual channel processes information far more rapidly than the textual channel, a point we'll return to. This fundamental efficiency is not a sign of intellectual laziness. It's a testament to our species' unending quest to communicate more, faster, and with greater impact using the tools available. The mathematical imperative is clear. If a single symbol can convey what previously took many, that symbol will inevitably gain traction in environments where brevity and speed are paramount. This isn't the first time humanity has leaned heavily on pictures for communication. In fact, it's how all known writing systems began. Take Sumerian cuneiform, emerging around 3200 BCE. It started as a system of pictograms, simple drawings representing objects, primarily for accounting, tracking grain, livestock, and goods. Denise Schmont-Besserat's token theory compellingly argues that these written signs evolved from clay tokens used for millennia to manage resources. Similarly, Egyptian hieroglyphs, which graced monuments for over 3,000 years, retained their stunningly detailed pictographic elements even as they developed phonetic components. These weren't primitive attempts at writing. They were sophisticated systems perfectly adapted to their needs. The key evolutionary leap for many systems was the Rebus Principle, using a picture of one thing to represent the sound of that thing, which could then be used to write other, more abstract words. For example, a picture of an I could represent the sound I. This principle was a crucial bridge from purely pictographic to logophonetic systems. Even Chinese characters, often misunderstood as purely pictographic, are largely phonetic semantic compounds. While many characters did originate as pictures, like mu for tree or yun for person, around 90% combine a component indicating meaning, the semantic radical, with another indicating sound, the phonetic component. This sophisticated system allowed for the expression of a vast vocabulary. It's crucial to understand, as linguist Peter T. Daniels highlights in The World's Writing Systems, that alphabets are not inherently more advanced than these other systems. Alphabets, which represent individual sounds, phonemes, are an incredibly efficient solution for specific linguistic structures and material constraints, like printing with movable type. They represent one path of optimization, focused on minimizing the number of unique symbols needed. However, this optimization comes at the cost of the immediate visual comprehensibility and emotional resonance that pictographic elements can carry. Each system represents a different set of trade-offs, a different optimization for different circumstances. So, what are the modern constraints pushing us back towards pictographic efficiency? The digital revolution, particularly the rise of mobile communication and social media, has fundamentally reshaped our communicative landscape. Twitter's original 140-character limit, for instance, wasn't just a feature, it was a crucible, forcing millions to find extreme brevity. Acronyms, abbreviations, and crucially, emoji, thrived in this environment. From 2015 to 2020 alone, Twitter's own data showed emoji usage increasing by a staggering 3,000%. This isn't just about character limits, it's about cognitive load and processing speed. Groundbreaking studies on processing fluency, such as those by Piotr Winkelmann, demonstrate that images are processed by the human brain up to 60,000 times faster than text. Our visual system is a high-bandwidth input channel, evolved over millennia to rapidly interpret complex scenes. Text, by comparison, is a more recent invention requiring significant cognitive decoding. In the fast-paced scroll of a social media feed, an image or an emoji can convey meaning and emotion far more effectively than a sentence. The utility of emoji extends beyond mere speed. A 2014 MIT study by Judith Muhlman found that emoji can improve communication accuracy in digital contexts by as much as 78%. Text alone often lacks the crucial nonverbal cues, tone, facial expression, gesture, that convey emotional intent in face-to-face interaction. Emoji help to restore this lost paralanguage, reducing ambiguity and misunderstanding. Think about how a simple smiley face can change the interpretation of a potentially terse text message. The data on engagement is equally compelling. A Quintly study in 2019 revealed that Instagram posts containing emoji receive, on average, 47.7% more engagement. This isn't trivial, it reflects a deeper cognitive and emotional resonance. The Unicode Consortium, the gatekeepers of emoji standards, reports that an astounding 92% of online users regularly use emoji. This makes emoji not just a fad, but arguably the fastest-growing language or symbolic communication system in human history. Its adoption rate is unprecedented, driven by its utility and intuitive appeal across cultures. This global embrace of pictographic symbols isn't a centrally planned phenomenon. It's a case of convergent evolution. Different cultures, facing similar communicative challenges in the digital age, are independently arriving at similar solutions. Japanese emoji, developed by Shigetaka Kurita in 1999 for NTT Docomo's iMode mobile platform, were inspired by manga art and street signs, aiming to convey information and emotion concisely on small screens. They themselves evolved from an earlier tradition of cowmoji, emoticons created using typographic characters like yen. Simultaneously, Chinese internet users have been incredibly innovative in creating new pictographic or ideographic compounds using existing characters or even archaic ones, repurposed to convey modern slang and emotions. The character jiang, originally an obscure character meaning bright or window, was revived because it visually resembles a face expressing embarrassment or awkwardness. This creative repurposing is a modern echo of the ancient Rebus Principle, demonstrating a universal human tendency to find visual correspondence for meaning. Indeed, as Vivian Evans notes in the Emoji Code, Many ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic determinatives functioned much like modern emoji. Determinatives were silent pictograms placed at the end of words, which were spelled out phonetically to clarify meaning and prevent ambiguity. A word might be spelled the same but have different meanings. The determinative, a picture of a boat for transport-related words, or a god for divine concepts, would specify the intended sense. This is precisely how emoji are often used today, to disambiguate tone or specify context in text. The mathematical concept of Kolmogorov complexity offers another lens here. It defines the complexity of an object as the length of the shortest possible computer program that can describe it. Efficient communication strives for low Kolmogorov complexity, conveying the maximum meaning with the minimum symbolic representation. Emoji, especially for common emotional or conceptual shorthand, approach this optimal compression. Furthermore, consider Charles Hockett's design features of language, such as semanticity, symbols having meaning, arbitrariness, form of symbol not directly related to meaning for many words, and discreteness, language built from distinct units. Emoji satisfy many of these features, functioning as a legitimate, albeit specialized, communication system. Despite the clear efficiencies and historical precedents, a common critique is that the rise of emoji and other pictographic elements signifies a dumbing down of language, a regression to a more primitive state. But this view often misunderstands both the nature of internet language and the capabilities of its users. Gretchen McCulloch's work, particularly in Because Internet, powerfully argues that internet language, far from being impoverished, is undergoing a period of unprecedented creativity and complexification. New grammatical structures emerge, new lexical items, including emoji, are adopted and adapted, and communicative norms evolve at lightning speed. Furthermore, data from the Unicode Consortium itself suggests that heavy emoji users often possess larger, not smaller, traditional vocabularies. They use emoji not as a substitute for rich textual expression, but as an enhancement to it, a tool to add layers of nuance, emotion, and personality that text alone struggles to convey quickly. It's about expanding the communicative toolkit, not shrinking it. This fear of linguistic degradation is not new. It echoes historical anxieties that have accompanied every major shift in communication technology. In Plato's Phaedrus, Socrates famously fretted that writing would weaken memory and foster a superficial understanding, as people would rely on external marks rather than internal knowledge. He worried that written words were static, unable to answer questions or defend themselves like a living speaker. Fast forward nearly 2 millennia, and 15th century scholars voiced similar concerns about the printing press. They argued it would lead to the spread of errors, undermine the authority of carefully copied manuscripts, and even destroy the contemplative practice of slow, meticulous reading. Every generation, it seems, has a tendency to view the linguistic innovations of the next with suspicion, often framing vibrant evolution as decay. Text messaging, with its abbreviations and emoticons, faced the same criticisms now leveled at emoji. These historical parallels should give us pause and encourage a more nuanced perspective on the changes we are currently witnessing. So, where is this trajectory leading? If current trends continue, and if the underlying drive for communicative efficiency remains a constant, the future of language may be even more visually integrated. Augmented reality technologies are poised to overlay our physical world with a rich layer of digital information, much of which will inevitably be iconic and pictographic for rapid comprehension. Imagine spatial pictographic communication becoming dominant, where symbols and images are tied to locations, objects, and even people in our augmented view. Further out, brain-computer interfaces, like those explored in projects such as MIT Media Lab's Alter Ego for subvocalized speech recognition or research by Ramesh Jain into visual information retrieval, hint at a future where thought itself might be translated more directly into communicable forms. And what is thought, if not often a stream of images, concepts, and emotions? Such interfaces would likely favor image-based rather than purely linguistic transmission for its sheer bandwidth and immediacy. The more sophisticated our technology becomes, the more it seems to enable communication methods that resonate with our most fundamental cognitive capacities for visual processing. This brings us to a fascinating paradox. As our technology hurtles towards unprecedented sophistication, our communication methods appear to be on the surface, reverting to something more primitive, more akin to the pictograms of ancient civilizations. But this isn't regression. It's a technologically enabled return to a mode of communication that was, in many ways, optimal all along for conveying certain types of information quickly and universally. Ancient civilizations discovered the power of pictography independently, driven by their own needs and constraints. We are rediscovering it, driven by the demands of digital speed, global interconnectedness, and the human brain's inherent preference for visual information. The journey of language isn't a straight line from simple to complex or from pictures to text. It's a dynamic, cyclical adaptation, always seeking the most effective means to bridge minds. What we are witnessing is not the erosion of language, but its expansion, a convergence towards a richer, more versatile, and yes, mathematically more efficient communicative future. The emoji isn't the end of language. It's a vital part of its ongoing, inevitable evolution. Consider the data, the history, the cognitive science. Is it not clear that this visual turn is less a choice and more a consequence?